Black people across U.S. receive racist text messages. Reported receiving racist text messages, telling them that they had been selected to pick cotton and needed to report to the nearest plantation. While the texts, some of which were signed a Republican supporter, varied in detail, they all conveyed the same essential message about being selected to pick cotton. Some of the messages refer to the recipients by name. A spokesperson for the president-elect told CNN that his campaign has absolutely nothing to do with these text messages. It is not yet clear who is behind the messages, nor is there a comprehensive list of the people to whom the messages were sent, but social media posts indicate that the messages are widespread. Black people in states including Alabama, South Carolina, Georgia, New York, New Jersey, Nevada, the D.C. area and elsewhere reported receiving the messages. The messages were sent to Black adults and students, including to high schoolers in Massachusetts and New York, and students at historically Black colleges and universities, HBCUs, such as Alabama State University and other schools, including ones across Ohio, Clemson University, the University of Alabama and Missouri State. At least 6 middle school students in Pennsylvania received the messages, according to the Associated Press. Authorities including the FBI and attorneys general are investigating the messages. The FBI is aware of the offensive and racist text messages sent to individuals around the country, and is in contact with the Justice Department and other federal authorities on the matter, the FBI said on Thursday. NAACP condemned the messages. The unfortunate reality of electing a president who historically has embraced, and at times encouraged hate, is unfolding before our eyes. These messages represent an alarming increase in vile and abhorrent rhetoric from racist groups across the country, who now feel emboldened to spread hate and stoke the flames of fear that many of us are feeling after Tuesday's election results, the NAACP president and CEO, Derek Johnson, said in a statement. "We've said it before and we'll say it again, there is no place for hate in a democracy. The threat, and the mention of slavery in 2024, is not only deeply disturbing, but perpetuates a legacy of evil that dates back to before the Jim Crow era, and now seeks to prevent Black Americans from enjoying the same freedom to pursue life, liberty, and happiness." Brian Hughes, of the Trump campaign, told NBC that they would take legal action if we can find the origin of these messages which promote this kind of ugliness in our name. President Trump built a diverse and broad coalition of support, with voters of all races and backgrounds, he said in a statement to NBC. The result was a landslide victory for his common-sense mandate for change. This will result in a second term that is beneficial to every working man and woman in our nation.
Young Black and Latino men say they chose Trump because of the economy and jobs. Brian Lee, a 31-year-old small business owner from Belton, Texas, was not surprised that a growing number of Latino men of his generation voted for Donald Trump for president this year. Lee had voted for the Republican in 2016 and 2020. Lee's rationale was simple. He said he has benefited from Trump's economic policies, especially tax cuts. "I am a blue-collar worker," Lee said. "So, tax breaks for small businesses are ideal for what I do." For Sean Galashaw, a consultant in Fairfax, Virginia, a vote for Trump was rooted in what he saw as Democrats' rhetoric not matching their actions. "It's been a very long time since the Democrats ever really kept their promises to what they're going to do for the minority communities," he said. Galashaw, 25, who is Black, also voted for Trump twice before. This year, he said, he thought the former president's minority community outreach really showed up. Trump gained a larger share of Black and Latino voters than he did in 2020, when he lost to Democrat Joe Biden, and most notably among men under age 45. according to Associated Press Votecast, a nationwide survey of more than 120,000 voters. Even as Democrat Kamala Harris won majorities of Black and Latino, it wasn't enough to give the vice president the White House, because of the gains Trump made. Economy and jobs made men under age 45 more open to Trump. Voters overall cited the economy and jobs as the most important issue the country faced. That was true for Black and Hispanic voters as well. About 3 in 10 Black men under age 45 went for Trump, roughly double the share he got in 2020. Young Latinos, particularly young Latino men, also were more open to Trump than in 2020. Roughly half of young Latino men voted for Harris, compared with about 6 in 10, who went for Biden. Juan Prono, CEO of LULAC, the nation's largest and oldest civil rights organization for Hispanic Americans, said the election results make it clear that Trump's messaging on the economy resonated with Latinos. I think it's important to say that Latinos have a significant impact in deciding who the next president was going to be, and re-elected Donald Trump, Prono said. Latino men certainly responded to the populist message of the president, and focused primarily on economic issues, inflation, wages and even support of immigration reform. The Reverend Derek Harkins, a minister who has served Abyssinian Baptist Church, in New York, has overseen outreach to Black American religious communities for more than a decade. He said that Trump's hyper-masculine appeal worked to win over some younger men of color. I think that Trump with this bogus machismo has been effective amongst the young men, Black, white, Hispanic, Harkins said. And I think unfortunately, even if it's a very small percentage, when you're talking about an election like we just had, it can be very impactful. Black and Latino voters' priorities changed from 2020. While about 4 in 10 young voters, under 45 across racial and ethnic groups identified the economy as the top issue facing the country, older white and Latino voters were likely to also cite immigration, with about 1/4 of each saying that was the top issue. A clear majority of young Black voters described the economy as not so good or poor, compared with about half of older Black voters. Majorities of Latino voters, regardless of age, said the economy is in bad shape. That belief made it more difficult for Harris to highlight the actual numbers in the economy, which show that inflation has receded dramatically, unemployment remains low and wages have risen. These voters simply did not feel that progress. Alexis Uskanga, a 20-year-old college student from Brownville, Texas, voted in a presidential election. The economy and immigration are the issues that drove him to vote for Trump, he said. Everything just got a lot more expensive than it once was for me, Uskanga said. Gas, grocery shopping, even as a college student, everything has gone up in price, and that is a big concern for me, and other issues like immigration. Having grown up selling tamales and used cars, and washing cars, Uskanga knows how hard it can be to make a living. When Trump was president, he said. Under the Trump presidency, more opportunities were abounded, Uskanga said. I was not very fond of President Trump, because of his rhetoric in 2016, but I look aside from that and how we were living in 2018 and 2019. I just felt that we lived a good life, no matter what the media was saying, and that's why I started supporting him after that. Though the shift of votes to Trump, from Black and Latino men was impactful, Trump could not have won without the support of a majority of white voters. Men of color are really beginning to emerge as the new swing voters, said Terrence Woodbury, co-founder of Hit Strategies, a polling and research firm that conducted studies for the Harris campaign. For a long time, we talked about suburban women and soccer moms, who can swing the outcome of elections. Now men of color are really beginning to emerge as that. especially younger men of color, who are less ideological, less tied to a single party, and more likely to swing either between parties, or in and out of the electorate, Woodbury said. Desire for strong leadership made Trump more appealing. A majority of voters nationally said Trump was a strong leader, slightly fewer than half said the same about Harris. Among Hispanic voters, even more saw Trump as strong in this election. Roughly 6 in 10 Hispanic men described Trump as a strong leader, compared with 43% who said that in 2020. About half of Hispanic women said Trump was a strong leader, up from 37%. Black men and women were about twice as likely as, in 2020, to describe Trump as a strong leader. David, a purchasing manager in Atlanta, who is black, abstained from voting in the election because he did not feel either Harris or Trump was making the right appeals to black men. But the results of the election did not disappoint him. "I'm satisfied with the result. I don't feel slighted. I wasn't let down. I wasn't pulling for Trump or Harris, but I did not want a woman in that position," he said. "And if it were to be a woman," David said,